Rob?
Hey everyone, I wanted to do this quick little intro video. First and foremost, this is going to be the review for the Mattel Damian Robin figure that was just released, and I want to send a big sincere thank you to Mr. Chapman Films. When this figure was getting released on the 15th of December, it ended up being right in the middle of my work day, and I wasn't able to get to a computer or anything like that, as I don't have like a desk job. I kind of work in a trailer, stacking boxes all day, real exciting. But I didn't have a way to be able to purchase Robin when he came out, and I was kind of afraid that he was going to sell out right away. So Mr. Chapman Films out there said, "Hey, no problem, I'll order two." And I said, "Just let me know when he comes in, the price and the shipping and everything." And he received him a little while ago and then sent him to me, and I said, well, hey, how much do I owe you for it? And Jason kindly said, well, it's a Christmas present, so Merry Christmas. Again, I said that in our little chat log. I said, sir, you don't have to do that at all. And he said, no, I definitely want to. Merry Christmas. So Chapman Films, thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. That was far too kind of you, sir. Thank you very much. He's not only done that once for Christmas, but this is 2 Christmases in a row that he has sent me something, which goes into my next thing I want to say here real quick before we get into the review, is that this is kind of my little series I'm going to do is farewell Mattel type of thing. Damian is the last official Mattel DC Universe classics, from the 2003 Batman line all the way through the DC superheroes, the classics, the Legacy and Unlimited, and all those, the 66 Batman, all those type of figures. Damian is the last figure from Mattel. They still have the DC license, and they're still doing some of the, where they are backwards here, the Power Attack figures, or these guys, which I'm still supporting this line. But Damian's the last DC Universe Classics figure. Last year, Chapman Films sent me 2 other Signature Series figures that were in his collection, and gave them to me as a Christmas present, and they were Ocean Master and Phantom Stranger. And I was kind of waiting to see when Damian was going to come out. I thought, well, I'll just review all of them together. Well, then a year goes by, and we finally get the Damian figure. So I want to say this to you, Chapman Films. Those figures are finally getting reviewed. I've been waiting for this moment to be able to do it. It's kind of funny. I'll say it in the review, but June of 2013, we were told that Damian was canceled, that the Mattel was not going to do it. So a little over a year later, we finally get Damian released. And I have 2 other figures I picked up at Ohio Comic Convention, I think last year. They were DC Universe Classics figures, and I have yet to review them, again waiting for this Damian figure. So that's what I'm going to do, is after Damian is done, we're kind of going to go back through a couple of those other figures, and that's probably going to be it for me reviewing DC Universe Classics figures. I don't think I'm going to go out and be buying any more. There's a couple that I wouldn't mind having. There are a couple in my collection that I do not, that I have never reviewed. So after I get through those 4 other figures, I will show my entire DC Universe collection that I have. Some people have been saying, hey Rob, when are you going to show a collection video? I think we've kind of said before that I don't have a lot of shelf space and other, you can't see off to the side, but other like bookcases that I've converted into action figure housings, and I've got some on DVD and CD racks above me. But I will set up all my DC Universe Classics figures, and if there's any in there that you would like to see that I haven't reviewed, let me know. Maybe I'll continue doing some DC Universe Classics. But I just want to do this quick little intro before the video, basically to say to Chapman Films, sir, thank you very, very much. That is far too kind of you. It's let's see, about almost 9 o'clock. I've been editing this. I shot a lot of footage for Damian, so I'm trying to edit it down, and plus this video right here being an intro. So again, this is going to be a little bit longer video. So this is just a personal message, basically to Chapman Films, saying thank you so very much, and to kind of let everybody else know what's going on. And something else I'm working on is the Robin Rises story arc from DC Comics that just officially wrapped up. So I'm going to say something later on in the video that's kind of spoilerish if you don't know anything about Damian recently, but something very big has happened with the Robin and the Damian character in the DC Comics. You probably know what it is. It's out there on the internet, but if you don't know, you'll find out in the video. So I just want to say again, thank you very much, Chapman Films. Sincerely, that's really cool if you appreciate it. And now I'm going to shut up and we get into more talking, and you'll actually get to see the Mattel final figure of the DC Universe Classics line, the signature series Robin Damian figure. So very cool. Thanks, Chapman. All right, now that we have the intro part of the video out that you've been wanting to see, really quick, here is the box. It says Signature Collection Robin on it. It's just the white mailer box. Nothing too special about it. He's finally here. Again, a big, huge thank you to Chapman Films. Jason, kind sir, I think I said it before in the beginning, but I am greatly appreciative of your kindness. Thank you very much, sir. Can you believe that this figure was canceled on June 17th, 2013. That is when we received the initial announcement that Mattel was canceling this particular wave of figures that was coming out. I think Bat Zorro was in there. Batman Beyond is the only other figure, I think, from that wave that did not get released. But I ended up making a video about the cancellation in July of 2013 about the cancellation of the Damian Mattel figure. And I just recently watched the video before I am recording this, so it's kind of funny how things kind of ended up turning out. We probably should have had this figure a long time ago. Depending on how you count this, Doomsday and Damian are the last two figures that are going to be made in the DCUC style from Mattel. Officially, Damian is the last official figure released. He was supposed to come out ahead of Doomsday, but Doomsday ended up coming out first. So I can't remember initially. I think it was December 15th. I think I have that date right, is when Damian went up for sale on Mattel's website. So well over a year before we end up getting this figure, and for a lot of us, we just assumed we were never ever going to get this figure. So I'm extremely happy to finally have Damian Robin in my collection, and my Robin Mattel collection is officially complete. So a little bit of rambling right there. Let's get into the rest of the packaging. The standard signature collection box that we've seen. Some really cool art. I'd like to figure out who the artist is of this. I have Shazam's box that I've kept. I really like Shazam's box. And I have Ocean Master and the Phantom Stranger, which have yet to be reviewed, but I will do that here in just a little bit, as I've already previously talked about. Nothing on that side panel. Here is the back of the box. Robin, real name Damian Wayne, the biological child of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. Damian Wayne was conflicted by his upbringing as a deadly assassin and the revelation that he was the son of the Dark Knight detective. Genetically engineered in a laboratory and trained by the League of Assassins, young Damian was already a lethal warrior when he first met his father. To help Damian control his temper and curb his desire to kill, Batman took him under his wing and eventually made him his sidekick, Robin. While their relationship was rocky at first, they were able to form a strong bond as father and son, and as Batman and Robin. Very cool. I am extremely excited. Let's get this bad boy out of package as I'm hitting lights and everything in here. I can't wait to get this guy out of package. Finally, the last official Robin will be added to my collection from Mattel. We will be right back. Alright, he's out of the package, and I gotta say that I've watched a number of people's reviews, and it was really kind of cool to see Anthony's review, Olivia's review, and Jason's review. Stu, you're the only one that hasn't reviewed this guy yet. What's the deal? I've seen Seha Man's review. There's numerous other people. Sorry if I'm forgetting people that have reviewed it, so I'm kind of the last to the table. But what this figure really doesn't do well on film is show you he looks a lot thicker on film than I think he actually does in person. Trying to get a little extra light here. I guess I thought he was going to be a lot chunkier in some of the initial photos that Mattel had released, and I think he probably was more so than he is right now. I think they did slim him down some, although he does look a little bit too muscular for a 10-year-old. I believe in comics right now, Damian has been in existence for 9 years, basically, if you count the year or so that he was dead, almost 2. But he's almost as old as he is actually in comics. So he's about just 10 or a little bit over 10 years old, so he probably should be on a little thinner body buck. I think Kid Flash would have been a really good one. Even the Tim Drake Robin, I think his proportions were a little bit, but considering the amount of time Mattel was doing figures towards the end and probably the pieces and parts that they were left with, rather than probably resculpting a complete figure from head to toe, they only went through and sculpted the things that they necessarily had to. With that being said, I'm completely satisfied with this figure right off the bat. I am more than happy to add him to my ever-growing Damian Robin collection and just my Mattel Robin figures in general, which you will see by the time this review is over. But a solid figure as I am hitting everything here. Now on camera here, it's not doing it justice very well. On camera, it's making this gray here look black. It's more gray than it is black. Maybe it's just the lighting in my viewfinder. It is supposed to be more matching of the black that's part of the hood cape portion of him, but that's fine. The lighter gray is perfectly fine with me. Again, I'm just glad to have this figure. I think Mattel did a really good job. I know some people don't care for the face, but here's Damian's, expression. Some people say he looks a little Jay Leno-ish, and I've kind of noticed that in some other people's reviews, it almost looks like somebody took their thumb and went like this to the front of his face, and it left an indent, like there's a part that's caved out or it was pushed in. So that might have been just a little bit for the way they had to sculpt his face there. It's not horrible, but just a little bit noticeable. As some people have said that his forehead is a little high. Again, I think these are small complaints in the overall scheme of things with a figure that we were originally told we were not going to get. So to actually have this guy in hand, I'm completely 100% satisfied. Are there things that I think could be done better? Yes, I think there are. But that being said, again, we weren't supposed to get this guy, so for Mattel giving one last hurrah here with Doomsday and Damian back-to-back, I think they made good on their promise of, we're going to give you a couple good figures to go out on. Again, I think Batman Beyond probably should have been included in the last 3 figures, but we got Hook Hand Aquaman, we got Superboy, Fire. I can't remember if it's Fire or Ice. I thought there was somebody. Oh, Damian was in that initial wave, and he got held much longer. All right, let's get into the articulation on this guy. His head can go all the way around in 360, but like Chapman Films would say, we're not going to do that so we don't snap his neck and kill him. Thanks, Chapman Films. His head does not look up or down very well. Actually, not at all. And that's kind of the baffling thing sometimes about Mattel. that some figures they'll give double joints to, some they'll give single joints to, others they'll have really hyper articulated heads that look way up, way down, or be completely loosey-goosey all over the place with joints and everything. So it is what it is. Again, I'm glad I have him. His arms are on a nice ball and socket, the traditional Mattel. Everything's all traditional Mattel articulation. Does go up to a full 90 degrees. The arms will not go all the way around due to the cape. It's a nice soft plastic cape, but the tops are kind of molded to go over the shoulder, so they do hinder a little bit. They go up enough. You could still get a good range of motion out of them for posability. Has the single bend at the elbow, does not turn at the gauntlet, but turns at the wrist. Has a ab crunch. He can look down, bend forward a little bit, and kind of has the abnormal crunch in the back, but every joint on mine feels nice and tight. Does turn at the waist. Has the T-jointed hips, but they are hindered by the tunic here, and it's a soft plastic, but it's still a little stiff and rigid, and it feels like if I put too much pressure on it, this actually could become brittle and break off. It's not as soft as the cape is. So just I'll watch out for that. So sadly you're not going to get any kicking motion out of him. The legs go forward and back, but again it is hindered because of the way it's made. But again, I'm fine with it. It has the upper thigh swivel, single bend at the knee, and as ODC That's Me says, has a pivot at his Christmas boots. And yes, Chapman Films pointed out, I do have a pair of Converse green tennis shoes that I put red laces on. So, he does come with one accessory, like we can see here in his hand, and let's try and get this out. I've kind of had to open his hand up, is his own personal batarang. Rather than give us just a standard batarang for Robin, this is what Damian normally would have. And Damian used this as a traditional batarang, or he used it as a set of brass knuckles. So he would turn it around from time to time and put it in his hands this way, and then punch people with the sharp ends of the batarang. That Dick had to constantly tell him to relax and chill out as I drop it to the floor. We're back. So yeah, it does fit in either hand. You kind of have to pry it open just a little bit, and it's nice that hands on some of the Mattel DCUC figures are so tight that I feel like you could break them off. But at least in the case with Robin here, and I'm getting to the point where I don't want to keep calling him Damian Robin. He is Robin, but Damian. You can open up his hands, and you can see there that it fits in either way. I think it fits a little bit better in this hand than it does this one. But as you could tell here, that would do some damage if you get hit in the face with this batarang. It was kind of funny in some issues that Dick, when Dick Grayson was Batman with Damian as Robin, Dick would constantly tell Damian, you know, those things are for throwing, not punching. And Damian would say, not the way I made them. And he cut a little spot for his hands to fit in. So I thought that was kind of funny. It would have been kind of cool to have a Dick Grayson Batman, but now at this point we're just kind of wishing of figures that would have and could have and should have been made. I like this guy a lot. I really do. And had I had him in time for my top 10 at Christmas, I think he would have definitely made my top 10. It would have been nice to have a Mattel figure. So I think he may get red-shirted. For all you sports fans, he may get redshirted to the 2015, since that's the year I'm reviewing him in, even though he came in 14. He didn't get to play in 2014 on Rob's Rogue, so maybe we'll see how 2015 goes. It's so weird to say 2015. And see if where maybe this Mattel figure might pop in. I like him that much. He's kind of a mixture of the New 52 and the pre-New 52. For a while there, as I'm trying to make sure I find everything, Damian did have the normal Robin part of the tunic where the buckles went in, and that quickly went away. But where the buckles used to be, there is now a black line in the new 52 and the old continuity on either side, kind of like some panel lines where it's more of a vest. Something I did like here that I was hoping Mattel would do was they gave us Damian's actual Robin R insignia, which I think is kind of cool. Tim Drake's would normally come through the point off to the side and have the razor point through the top, where they made the razor point the connecting point of the R, so I think that's pretty cool. The hood is sculpted. I mean, it's definitely not going to come up. Let's get a little farther out here. The hood's not going to come up over his head, obviously. Seeing how Shazam's hood was, and I know that's horrible, there is another Robin Mattel figure that does have a hood that is up that I'm kind of surprised they didn't do, but I think for all purposes, really, I think it's better to have Robin with his hood down, and we just know that he can put it up. So that is the action figure review for Mattel's Damian, and I like him. I am glad to have him in hand, a final addition to my Mattel Robin collection. So what I'd like to do now is I want to show you all of the Mattel Robins that Mattel has made up to this point. Alright, here are all of the DCUC figures. Yes, I know that there are some legacy figures, and we have the 1966 Batman, we have the Young Justice here, but they are all made by Mattel under the Mattel banner, and they are in some part, shape, or form DC Universe Classics figures. There is actually one figure missing from the set. Let's bring him up really quick. That is a 2003 Batman line from Mattel, and that's where all of this started. Is the 2003 Batman line that had very limited articulation, and as that line went on, they started making other figures from the line. I think Batman and Robin were the first two made, then we had a Joker and a Nightwing, but as they started going down the line of figures, they started improving their articulation, which ended up giving birth to the DC Superheroes line, and then gradually the DC Classics line, which then we had our offshoots in there with the Legacy and All-Star lines and Young Justice. The Arkham series of video games had figures, which that's the Robin I was talking about, that DC, or Mattel rather, did make a hooded Robin figure that wasn't so bad. Or a hooded figure, so if you had a way of getting that cape off of Robin or that hood and maybe put it on that Damian, you might get to see here. There's the Young Justice body that a lot of people have been talking about. It's close. I think initially that's what they were saying that they were using. Definitely the arms for Damian are shared by this Young Justice Robin. The legs, I do believe, in some aspects. The boots are new, obviously, and the cape. Damian is a little bit taller just from the way that I have them positioned here on the table, but he is a little bit taller than the Tim Drake Robins here, although you look at the Tim Drake Red Robin back here, he's definitely out of scale with himself. The Tim Drake Robins are supposed to be 13 to 16 years old. As far as this one, he's probably closer to 16 being in that colored costume, and probably closer to 14 or 13 being in that costume. But Damian is supposed to be 10, so I think he should still be shorter than all of them put together. But Mattel wasn't always the best for scale and size. Maybe in the line that they were making, the figures were in the correct size, but in the overall scheme of things, I don't think Mattel did the best job of making their figures scale with one another. But I am happy to be able to finally complete all of my Mattel DC Universe figures. Robin figures in general. Now, I don't have the Power Attack figures up here, as they are not part of the normal Classics line of figures that I think you can argue all of these are. Even though we have a 66 Batman, but it's still made by Mattel and does share all the very same articulation points that all of these other figures have. So I wanted to be able to share that with you. So I guess this would be the official graduating class of 2014 of all the Robins now can graduate with Damian being released. All right, here are all the Damian, I said, figures that were made. There are some that are not figures, they're figurines or a chess piece. We'll kind of go through them here. First in the back was the Batman and Son, just a Damian figure that came with the Tim Drake Robin figure. I believe that was 2009 is when that came out, 2009, 2010. The next one that came out after that is the very much sought after Batman Incorporated. I believe that's 2011. Damian, obviously a Robin figure, and still I believe the best Robin figure to date. You can see the two side by side, and as much as I like this Mattel figure, if there was only one I was going to be able to pick up, it's this one. I'm so very glad I bought him when he was released, because he is crazy, crazy expensive, anywhere between as low as I've seen as $75 up to $180. I really hope DC Collectibles just re-releases this figure for 2015 or does a different variation of this figure, but I think this one works really good with the New 52 Justice League Batman. Then we move on to one of the next ones that came out was the Eagle Moss chess piece, the Bishop Damian Robin figure or figurine, and this was 2013, I believe. And then moving into 13, we had the HeroClix Damian figure, the first one that was made. There is another Damian now that I realize it. I am missing one. Do you believe that? There was a HeroClix Damian that was more like this one that was missed. I thought I had every single one of them, but I just realized the HeroClix here. Then the Monogram company made these two little plastic PVC Damians, and they're okay. They're really kind of ugly up close, but still, nonetheless, it's a Damian. We had a Chib in 2014 that was really kind of cool. That was a nice find to have a Damian figure. And then the first Lego Damian Robin figure ever made. And then moving up to almost the most recent is Little Gotham, as I get him out of frame here. That came out in 2014, I believe, in November or late October, and then moving into November was the Son of Batman Damian figure. So for a lot of people, this was their first opportunity to get a Damian. And then, of course, December 15th's release of the Mattel DC Signature Series Damian. So I wanted to share all my Damian figures, and as I was going through them, I realized I am missing one Damian figure, but I think I have all but one. So there you go. As Chapman Films would say, here is Damian Robin with shiny ass Batman from the Batman, what was this? Batman Unlimited line. Jeez, I couldn't remember what that was from. I think this figure is a little too shiny. I have initially had him in my Batman DCUC display, waiting for this Robin. Now kind of seeing the two together, I think I may move this Batman up to the Justice League shelf and bring down another Batman for this Robin to stand with. This was the last official DCUC figure. This particular wave came with the New 52 Superman, Superboy Prime, Red Robin, and the New 52 Batman in more of the comic book accurate colors, and I think this works a lot better just in the color palette. If Damian was a lot shinier, I think he would look really good with the shiny Batman. So I think I'm just going to move shiny Batman up a shelf in my Justice League setup that I have. But yeah, these two look really good together, and it's finally good to be able to have Batman and Robin, father and son, together. Alright, final thoughts here with Mattel's Damian Robin figure, and somebody may be asking, why does it look like Damian's flying up over Batman here on top of this gargoyle building? Well, for those of you that may not know, spoiler here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Damian can fly now. He is back from the dead after the conclusion of Robin Rises. He has all kinds of super abilities or superpowers that Bruce is trying to figure out what caused his superpowers, how long does he have them, and to what extent does Damian have the ability to do. So right now, the New 52, Damian is the first member of the Bat family with superpowers. So I'm going to be doing a Robin Rises special on my YouTube channel. It's going to be podcast-ish, and I'll go into more of that here. Just kind of wanted to get that out, but as we're looking at Damian kind of bouncing around here, I think Mattel did a really good job on this. With what they had and what they were doing, they kind of used parts and pieces here or there to make some of these last few figures. Is this the way I think we wanted Mattel to go out on? I'm not entirely sure. I think a lot of us are happy to now have Doomsday. I myself do not yet, but I'm glad that my last figure, and the last figure released by Mattel, is a Robin. I would have loved to have had him much earlier, obviously, but it's nice to know that I can put a pin in my Mattel collection, and we've had a nice long run with Mattel, almost over 12 years. I mean, closer to 13, I think, if you count the 2003 line of Batman. So we've had a lot of figures in that 11 to 12, 13 year line, again, depending on how you want to count it. So today we've been taking a look at the Signature Collection by Mattel, the last figure in the DC Universe Classics style, Robin, Damian. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues and the Batman Universe signing off, saying we will see you guys next time.